pursued this story as hard as I've pursued anything in the Trump era, and nobody's been able to explain this to me. Why were you the only one charged? You write in great detail about sort of coming up with this plan to cover up the payment, which was an illegal payment, with Allen Weisselberg. We've seen the checks that you provided to Congress, including at least one signed by one of the president's sons. It's clear that the Trump Organization was used to sort of launder that repayment. It's clear that AMI and David Pecker were involved in strands of this scheme. Why is Michael Cohen the only person who was charged?
Because they elected to make me into the scapegoat. I did what I did. I took responsibility for it. But did Mr. Trump, Allen Weisselberg, Don, so, just to correct you for a second there, Rachel, it wasn't just Don Jr.'s signature that was on some of the checks. The president's signature was on two of the checks at the very beginning, which I provided to Congress as part of the open house testimony. Why I'm the only one, it doesn't make sense. As I stated, I was acting at the direction of and for the benefit of Mr. Trump. And how I became the scout, I'm not the one who had the affair. He did. I am the dummy who paid $130,000 to keep it quiet. But this was my conversation with Mr. Trump, with Allen Weisselberg and others. And I did it in order to protect him. And I guess the thank you that I got from my royal boss was Michael Cohen should, as I once said, take a bullet for him and lose everything. Lose my freedom, my company, my law license, my family's happiness, everything. To me, I'm with you. I don't understand it.
The president is at least, though, named as individual one by prosecutors, and you in your allocution made very clear what you just made here in terms of the fact that this was directed by him for his benefit, and you were acting out his wishes, and so he's therefore the most culpable person. And you make a point as almost the very last thing.
This the person you said is your president.
May relate to this. President's named as individual one. You went to prison for those felonies. He's clearly the person who directed the commission of those felonies. But you say at the very end of the book that the president and Attorney General William Barr...
Trump treated him just like the Mexicans that built that tower and he ain't paying, and called immigration on him.
Effectively, the president's golfing buddy as the new U.S. attorney there, because the president, in your view, wanted to arrange for himself to be indicted while he's still in office, because that would give him the opportunity to pardon himself after he lost the election. I just wanted to make sure that I understand the point that you're making there. Just ask you to elaborate on that a little bit.
If he would have left graciously, they probably wouldn't have exposed him.
My theory is that if he loses, there's still the time between the election and the time that the next president would take office.
This is how you embarrass.
During that time, my suspicion is that he will resign as president. He will allow Mike Pence to take over, and he will then go ahead and have Mike Pence pardon him. And it's a very, let's just say, it's a very Nixon type of event. And it was probably discussed between Roger Stone and President Trump at some point, that this is certainly one way to avoid any potential prison time.
I suppose if he was going to do something like that, he could arrange...
He ain't no more corrupt than them, though.
...that Nixon, in fact, got, where Nixon hadn't been charged with anything. It was a prospective pardon that he basically arranged from forward so as to make sure that he'd never be indicted after he left office. I suppose that same sort of arrangement could apply there, even if he wasn't, in fact, charged.
He should get a pardon on anyway. He was the president at one point.
Nor does it apply to the charges that will be brought by Cy Vance's office.
Yeah. Let me ask you, Michael, about something that you describe in detail, which is also something that I sort of spent a long time chasing, which is this unusual story. This is the